welcome to another episode of FPL Fanzone. My name's Nick, and in today's episode we're going to look at my final thoughts and draft as we approach the Gameweek 1 deadline. Now please note there is one glaring omission in my team, and we will talk through why I made that choice and others as I lock in my final team. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know what you think of my final team. And so without further ado, let's get started. Just a quick note, this year I will be hosting the FPL Fanzone mini league. You can see the code on the screen here. There'll also be a link to join in the description below. We will have a trophy at the end of the season which will be engraved, so it's your chance to lock in your place in history as the inaugural winner of the FPL Fanzone mini league. So feel free to click the link below in the comments to join up. I look forward to competing with you this season. So let's take a look at my team, my final draft for game week 1. In goal I have Flecken. Now he has a 4 million backup, which is why I've picked him. I've really struggled to just go through who's the best 4.5 million goalkeeper. I've looked at Henderson, I looked at Sanchez from Chelsea, but I feel there's a little bit of rotation risk with both of those. So right now, Flecken starting for game week 1. Moving on to my defence, I've got Saliba and Gabriel. So I've really doubled down on Arsenal's last season of being by far the best defensive team. They've looked really good in pre-season, and both of them have goal threat from corners as they're targeted for headers. So I just think that having them both there is a good set and forget. They served me really well at the end of last season. I know there's a couple of tough games coming up, but the Arsenal defence can keep a clean sheet against anyone, as they proved as they kept 2 against Man City last year. So I'm just going to have them as set and forget. Next up, I've gone really big at the back here, so I've got Gvardiol as well. Man City were the second best defensive team in the league last year. Again, when I look down at the 4.5s, there's a lot of options there, but I just don't know which one's the right one. So what I've done with my starting strategy is have a big back line, and then I can be able to move to the correct 4.5 once that emerges in the first couple of game weeks, and then free up a bit more money to bolster up my attack moving forward. But right now, I've got them really happy with that back line. They can just sit there, and I don't need to worry about them regardless of the fixtures, so I don't have to worry about tinkering with that back line. Moving on to my midfield, I have Saka. Again, there's probably a little bit of bias here as an Arsenal fan, so I've got to be careful of that. But they were very, very good last year. He's a nailed on talisman. He's on penalties. He scores lots of goals. He's got good attacking threat. He's got options there to get assists. He takes corners from one side. There's just lots of routes to points there for Saka, and I know that he's nailed for minutes. So he's locked in my team. He's 31% owned, so he'll good safeguard against a lot of other owners in the game as well. Next up, my premium for the start of the season is Mo Salah. Now, I feel like Mo Salah has got a good starting game against Ipswich. Liverpool have a good set of games moving forward over the first 5 or 6, but also he's on penalties, which again is another route to points. He's definitely the most attacking player there in the team. I have considered Jota as a replacement for Salah, but there's just a minute's risk with Jota, Diaz, Darwin. So Salah's nailed in that team as a talisman, so he's going to be there from game week 1. Next up, I have Gordon, who is 27% owned, so my ownership is starting to drop down here. He was brilliant last season, especially at home. First home game against Southampton. I think there's an opportunity there for him. I know he came back late from the Euros, but he did play the last game in pre-season and scored. And there are also some minute risks there with talks of moving to Liverpool, but that hasn't materialised. So I think he'll be in Eddie Howe's starting 11 for game week 1, and he's made my team as well. Next up, we've got Eze. He's never actually left any of my drafts throughout the pre-season. I think he had a stellar back end of last season when he started to get back into fitness. I know Elise has left and Mateta's not quite back yet from the Olympics, but a talisman nonetheless. So even if Mateta's not back, that's more likely to put him on penalties in those first couple of games. But again, another talisman nailed in the team. and Crystal Palace have really sort of picked up their attacking game since Glasner came in January. So happy to have Eze join the team for game week 1. And then last one is my differential pick for this midfield, which is Bailey from Villa. And Bailey's attacking stats are really, really good. He got good amount of goals and assists last season. He is only 3.9% owned, and I believe a lot of that is that people are going for Nkunku. Now, I did consider Nkunku, but he's not proven in the Premier League. Yes, he had a very good season in the Bundesliga, but then when he's come here, he was injured all of last season. So Nkunku may be a game breaker at 6.5 if he's playing out of position. But right now, I'm going for a known asset who's going to play in a good team that's got a manager that they know, the system. And so therefore, at 3.9% owned, he's a really good differential for me. But also he rotates quite nicely with my third striker, which we'll get to shortly. So overall, I'm really happy with my team after lots and lots of tinkering here. I think I've got a really good, strong midfield, which is where most of my points are coming from. I've probably overspent in my defence, and Arsenal's opening 5 fixtures have Villa, Tottenham and Man City. So there are chances there that they don't get clean sheets, but they could in the other 2 games, the opening home game against Wolves, for example. But right now I just think their defence is elite enough to keep them, and they allow me to just move down to whichever is the correct 4.5 or 5 million defender that starts to be the standout in the early part of the season. There's also nice price ranges in there. I can move Gordon to Bowen, for example, or to Jota or Diaz if needs be. Bailey to Nkunku if Nkunku does prove to be the 6.5 million of choice there. And then, with Muniz, I can move to Woods. So there's just lots of options for flexibility in and amongst this team for the start. They're all set as starting players. They're all expected good minutes. They've all got good attacking threat. So overall, I'm really, really happy with this team, apart from one thing. I'm missing Haaland. And I decided not to go for Haaland because the price difference between Haaland and Watkins, who's the next most expensive striker, was 6 million. Now, if you take away 6 million from any of those players, I actually need to be 6.5 million if I'm moving Isak up to Haaland, or 7.5 million if I'm moving Solanke up to Haaland. Now, taking 7.5 million from anywhere else in this team, I lose a player. If I take 7.5 million from Gordon, there's nothing. If I take 7.5 million, I can't take it from Eze, from Bailey. Even if I dropped all of my defence down to 4.5, that still only gives me 4.5 to play with, so I'd still need to drop 3 million from somewhere else. So the reason I didn't go for Haaland is not because he's not a great footballer and I'm terrified every week. I just think that I've got a better spread of points across the team than just relying on one player to score each week. Now, he does score every week, and I'm going to be terrified, especially in game week 2 when they've got Ipswich at home. But that 6 million makes a huge difference in my team. So, game week 1, let's see how I go. No Haaland, Salah as captain. But let me know your thoughts. What should I have gone for Nkunku over Bailey? Should I have looked at people like Foden, for example, who's not going to be back until, in my mind, until game week 2? I've not got Watkins. I've not got Haaland. Who would you have picked? Where do you think my weaknesses are in this team? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as we can. And obviously talk about this a little bit more as we get into the final game week. So once again, everyone, thank you very, very much for watching FPL Fanzone. I really do appreciate your support this year. Don't forget to join the mini league. The link will be in the comments below. And then also please like, and if you're new around here, please subscribe. It really, really helps out the channel. Look forward to seeing you after game week 1 to see my reflections and how well my team has done. Hoping you all have a green arrow. Look forward to catching up with you soon.